Hi everyone, it's Nicole here, the Harmonious Hippy. I hope you're all doing really well. Today's video, as you can see from the title, is going to be a yoga for the core or a core building yoga practice. So we are going to get a little bit sweaty today. If you want to bring a towel with you, you can do that. I don't think you'll need any props. I've got some blocks with me just for support. Obviously my ankle is still taking forever to heal from its sprain, so I still need a little bit of support here and there with that. This practice will be mostly laying down, but there are going to be a couple of standing postures that we'll do at the beginning. But other than that, you might just want a pillow to come to sit on and some water. You're definitely gonna need some water. So other than that, you just need you. Let's get ready to go here. If you do have issues with your tailbone, I have had surgery on my tailbone before, so if you're someone like me and you think that there are certain poses you can't do, I apologize, those are my cats acting crazy as usual. If you think that there are some poses that you just can't do, for example, boat pose, I have a lot of trouble with that one as well myself because I can't sit directly on my tailbone. If you do have a pillow or something fluffy like that that you want to bring to your mat to help ease some of that, just obviously with balancing on it for boat pose and that kind of thing, you don't want something too thick. I like to use this squishy knee pad thing that I have. Go ahead and grab that and see if that helps. If it doesn't help and it still hurts, then just ignore it, but otherwise grab something that you can sit on if your floor is pretty hard and it's going to hurt your tailbone or your knees even a little bit. So let's get started. Okay everyone, so just coming to sit on your pillow, a block. As I've mentioned previously, I think 99% of people are going to need to come onto something. We want to have that anterior tilt to the pelvis. So you want your knees either in line with your hips or lower. Obviously I've got one jacked up really high knee right now because of my ankle, but otherwise you really want to make sure that you're tilting forward and it doesn't feel like you need to really hold on to keep your lower back straight. So do come onto a block or a pillow if you need to do that. We're going to be seated for a little second here. I thought it would be fun to pull a tarot card for us today, and in honor of my array of children, I figured I would use my very special cat tarot deck. So it sounds crazy, it is a little bit. My mom got this for me when we were in Universal Studios in Orlando. It is literally exactly how it sounds. It is a tarot deck with all of the artwork and everything being cats. So it's very cute, it's very fun. So I'm gonna pull us a tarot card for that, just to see kind of what message we need to hear. Maybe I'm gonna knock out the past energy. So for people who don't know tarot cards, you can do full readings with them, or you can just, say, what do I need to hear? What's something that I need to know? What's a message, or what's going to be a common theme for me this week? Something like that. And you can just pull one card to kind of see what pops out of the deck at you. Speaking of popping out of the deck, if you are shuffling your tarot cards and a card flies out of the deck and falls on the floor, unless it's like a huge chunk of the deck because you were just clumsy, if it's like one card just suddenly pops out, that's usually kind of the universe or whomever you believe it is, just kind of being like, hey, stop shuffling, like this is the one. So I knock on the deck just to clear out any past energy from a previous reading I would have done with this deck. And I just place my hand on it. You guys can all close down your eyes too if you'd like. And I just start to think of what it is I'm asking. Sometimes it could be a specific question, like how is this specific thing I've been worrying about going to work out? But right now, I'm just going to ask what we all need to hear. So what do we need to hear? What do we need to know? What's going to be a common theme for us moving into this week, this month, this year even? It's still quite early in the year as we move into this energy now, currently in Pisces. What is it that we need to know that'll help us gain our enlightenment, get on our path, get moving where we need to? What do we need to hear? until I feel that I need to stop. These ones are a little harder, so they don't shuffle great. I also don't shuffle great myself, so if you're someone who's great at shuffling cards, don't judge me here. And I just sort of continue to think, you know, like, what do we need to hear? What do you want us to know? I'm asking for guidance. Please tell me something that's going to help me, something that I need to know. That's the one screaming at me. So the card that we drew is Justice. So if you know the standard tarot deck, it's still the same meanings and everything. It's literally just cat imagery. So we pulled the Justice card. I will put up a picture of this card here. So I hope you enjoyed that adorable cat image, the justice of the cat, you know, sinking their teeth in. So I also, as usual with most tarot decks, comes with a guidebook. I'm not amazing at my tarot knowledge, so I do still use the guidebook. So Justice is a major arcana card. There are also cards that are related to the suits, depending on what you have. I have an angel tarot deck, an angel oracle deck, so the suits, if you will, for that one are the elements, so it's earth, air, water, and fire. I have a deck that is literally the suits of a card deck. With standard tarot, it's typically swords, wands, cups, pentacles. And then there will be the major arcana cards, which are things like justice, high priestess, that kind of thing, and those are more major life events. But that's besides the point. So we're in major arcana. They all also have a number. Yeah, here. I, to this day, am embarrassing, and I cannot read my Roman numerals. It's 11. XI is 11, you guys. So Justice, this is what it says. Also, there is a different meaning if the card pops out upside down, but we had our card upright. So the little saying it has for this particular imagery is, just because the hand feeds you doesn't mean it doesn't deserve the occasional nip. So that's sort of the little saying to go along with this hilarious artwork. And then the meaning, this card reminds us that actions have consequences and cause is followed by effect. No surprise that this card is associated with cautious, measured Libra. Fairness will prevail, so play by the rules. I like that. It's a good message, I think, especially where the world kind of is right now as we're coming around to March, a year later for the beginning of quarantine for most of us, the beginning of this kind of COVID mess. I think lines are getting a little bit blurred socially. If we are interacting with people, it can feel a little heavy. So it's good to know, you know, that humanity is still a thing, that it's be cautious, but know that there's always going to be a cause and effect. So the way you treat people is going to come back onto you. What you put out into the world is going to come back to you. So I think it's kind of what I'm feeling for it is just sort of that it's a reminder to us to still try our hardest to put out kindness and love, and that's what's going to get us through this. So, Justice. I always laugh when I get that card, personally for me, because I do work in the legal field, so I'm always like, ooh, is this saying something about my job? So we're just going to stay seated for a second longer and just, you know, do our usual beginning meditation. So you can bring the hands to the knees. If you'd like to have the palms down for grounding, you can do so. If you'd like face up for receiving, go ahead and do that. You can always place a hand to the chest, one hand on the belly, hands in the lap, whatever's the most comfortable for you. Rolling the shoulders up and back. Sitting up tall. And closing down the eyes if you haven't already. And just beginning to tune into the body automatically. Starting at the top of the head, scanning down, observing the body and where it's at today. Noticing with curiosity any sensation that you feel. Observing if there's some places where you feel a little bit of tension. You might feel particularly heavy or light. Just scanning down, getting a picture of where your body's at today in this moment. Noticing in your mind as well if you feel particularly antsy or unconnected, maybe disconnected could be the word you use if you want to use proper English. Maybe you feel a disconnect, maybe you feel really busy and flighty and like you can't really get a hold on your thoughts. Personally, I'm feeling kind of light right now, but not quite in a comfortable way. If that makes sense. I feel a little bit uncomfortable. I'm feeling a little just thoughtless almost. My mind is kind of full, but with nothing. Does that make any sense? Maybe you feel similar, or maybe you're feeling very grounded. Perhaps you've immediately dropped in and your mind has started to ease. You're really tuned in with the body, with the breath. Feeling comfortable and ready. Neither one is wrong. It's just what is. Tuning into your breath. We're going to start off with some alternate nostril breathing just to calm the tension further if there is any. So bringing the pointer finger and the middle finger to the third eye. We're going to be using our thumb for the right nostril and our ring finger for the left nostril. Pinky's just there for the ride. So take a deep breath in through both nostrils, just taking a clearing breath first. And exhale. Plugging left nostril, inhale right. Plug right, exhale left. Inhale left. Plug left, exhale right. Inhale right. Plug right, exhale left. Inhale left. Plug left, exhale right. Inhale right. Plug right, exhale left. Inhale left. Plug left, exhale right. Releasing the hand down, taking a deep inhale through your nostrils regularly. And exhale. Just taking a couple of cleansing breaths before we get started here. So deep breath in through the nose, gathering up any tension. And opening the mouth, side out. Do that twice more. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, let go. And on this last one, let's inhale through the nose and shrug the shoulders up by the ears. And with your exhale, make some sound and let that go. And start to blink the eyes open. We're going to start to come into a little bit of movement, so doing the Sufi grind. I'm going to release my leg here because my knee's starting to hurt a little bit. And so we're just going to imagine that I'm cross-legged. We're just going to start to bring in some movement. So starting to make little circles with the upper body. Your circles can be as big or as small as you'd like, whatever you're comfortable with in this moment today. Maybe you really want to move and feel into all those, you know, forgotten corners in the body. Or maybe you just are feeling a little bit like you need some care, a little bit of just quiet little circles contained within yourself today. That's totally fine. Just starting to bring in that movement. If you'd like, you can start to bring the head in. So I like to inhale and exaggerate the chest forward, tilting the head back, and then curling back chin to chest on my way back. So you can slow the circles down as well. Tempo's up to you. It's all up to you. Well, it's yoga, right? Only matters what feels good for you. As long as you're safely aligned, of course. Still some rules, I mean, come on. Just rotating into those circles. Starting to feel the openness in the spine and the hips, maybe in the neck if you're rotating your neck. And then when you're ready, just beginning to circle in the opposite direction. Again, as big or as small as you'd like. Just breathing in and out through the nose. Taking these moments to just get some movement in. My newest kitty, Hansel, the black one, he's trying to chew on my phone cord. I've got my phone plugged in as I'm recording this. Hopefully I don't have to suddenly shout at him to get him to stop from electrocuting himself. And when you're ready, just making those circles a little smaller until we're back at the center. We're going to roll over onto our hands and knees. So if you would like to place something under your knees for some support, you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to bring my little all-purpose squishy thing here. So just stretching out through the fingers, opening the fingers wide, aligning the wrists under the shoulders and the knees under the hips. We're going to start to slowly rock back and forth. So just starting to feel into the wrists a little bit here. Just being careful, not moving too quickly or jarring too much. Just starting to get that movement into the wrists, making sure that you're pressing into all of the fingers to keep the wrists safe. Continuing to breathe and just checking in with your core here. We're not necessarily starting the core exercises yet, but just always noticing what your posture is like. We're not in a cow position right now, we're in a neutral spine, so you do want to have your core slightly engaged. It's probably hard to tell with my shirt, but you do want your core slightly engaged so that you're not just sitting here like this with your belly dropped, your back sinking. You do want to have that stability. Just little things, little ways that you can always kind of continue to check in with yourself in your yoga, whether you're doing a yoga practice at home or in a studio. Just always try and remember to kind of take stock of your body. So turning the fingers out to the sides of the mat, we're going to start to make little circles in one direction. My wrists are very tight, but I love this one. This feels really good on my wrists. Again, making sure that you're pressing into the knuckles, into the fingers. And when you're ready, just changing directions. And again, this is similar to the Sufi grind. You can make your circles as big or as small as you'd like, whatever feels the most comfortable for you. Maybe you have very open wrists and it feels really good for you to make really, really big, wide circles. Personally, I have very tight wrists in this direction, so I can't make very big circles without feeling like I'm gonna tear my wrists in half. It's a dramatic way of saying it, but hey, that's who I am. Now we're gonna flip the fingers back towards the knees. Depending on the tightness of your wrist, maybe you wanna do one hand at a time, that's totally fine. It also depends on how close your fingers are to your knees. Maybe if your hand's farther away, that's going to give you more of a stretch. So if you really do want a big stretch, you can go ahead and place the hands farther away. I'm going to do one at a time here. So just starting to lean back. I like to curl my toes under so that I get a little bit of that foot stretch as well, the toe stretch. My wrist and my toes are tight enough for this to be quite a stretch on both, so maybe you won't feel anything and you'll think I'm crazy here. That's fine. I can live with that. I like to rock side to side as well, just kind of get that little stretch and movement into the wrist. Again, making sure that you're moving slowly and gently. You don't want to chance hurting your wrists here. So releasing that one if you have only one and switching to the other side. And you'll notice too that one side is typically tighter than the other. Oddly enough, I'm right-handed, but it's my left side that's very tight. Which, I mean, obviously could make sense as well. It could be that I just don't use that wrist as much, so it doesn't get the stretching out. But yeah, it's definitely my left wrist. It almost feels like it's tight in my bones almost. So just stretching that out, getting that movement in there. And then releasing that out, and we're going to now point our fingers towards our knees, but we're going to flip over so we're on the top of the hand. Now, this one may be completely different for you. I can go a lot farther on this side than I can on the other side. So just notice what feels good. Again, if you want to do one hand and then the other, you can go right ahead. I like to do both, and try and make sure that your elbows are straight here. So I can go pretty far. I can stick my hands out kind of farther in front of me, whereas on the other side, I could barely lean back. So it sort of depends on your anatomy. It's pretty interesting. But this one is just stretching out the top of the forearm. And you can try and make a little fist here, see what that stretches out. Oh, that feels delicious. Feels like it's stretching out all my tendons in the top of my hand. It just feels really nice. I also like to play with rotating my elbows, the eyes of my elbows in and out, and that kind of brings some movement as well. Of course, being careful not to super hyperextend at any point. And coming up onto our knees, we're just gonna shake that out. You can sit back on the heels if you want. I can't with my ankle. It's really annoying. Do I talk about my ankle a lot? It's because I think about it all the time. Injuries, man, they suck. When did I do this? Like a month ago? So annoying. It's fine, I'm over it, obviously. So we're gonna come back onto our hands and knees. I'm gonna remove my, my knee prop here because we're gonna come into our downward dog. So pressing into the fingers, spreading the fingers wide, curling the toes under, and lifting the hips up high. And moving slowly here. This is, for a lot of us, our first downward dog of the day, maybe even of the week. So pedaling out the feet, maybe rocking side to side, wagging your tail. Maybe you want to bend the knees and stretch them back out. Whatever feels good for you to make this pose more comfortable. As always, checking in with the fingers, making sure that you're pressing down through all the knuckles, keeping the wrists safe. The palms of the hands are on the ground. Oh, that's just lovely. I love a downward dog. I'm just letting the head hang here. Now, downward dog is one of the ones where we can really start to engage and notice the core. A lot of the time there's so much happening with other places that the core is kind of the last thing we think about in our downward dog. You can release down to your knees, by the way, if it's too much for you to hold the downward dog. I'll stay in so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about, but feel free to come back down to all hands and knees, or you can just sit and look at the screen for now. But when we're in our downward dog, we have a tendency to really focus on pressing into the hands, like straightening the legs. You never have to straighten your legs in downward dog. I scream about this probably in every video. So we really are pressing in, our shoulders are burning. We're trying to sink through our hands, straighten the legs, drop the heels down, all of this stuff, tilt the tailbone to the sky. And what is getting totally ignored, you can probably see it on me right now. I'm winging my rib cage out. My belly is completely loose and just soft right now. I'm really hyperextending in my knees. So just the usual kind of things that you want to finesse in your downward dog anyways. are really going to help you start to engage the core and notice the core. So first things first, let's put a little bend in our knees, always. It makes it a lot more comfortable. At the end of the day, downward dog is not a hamstring stretch. It can feel like one. And of course, if you have the flexibility, you can certainly straighten your legs, but just watch out that you're not hyperextending. So I like to put a little bend, and that does lift my heels a little bit. Yes, do I have the flexibility to have my heels down and be totally straight? Yes, of course, but that's not necessarily the best alignment. Y'all, my arms. Woo! So, that was serious, my word. So we definitely want to ensure that we have this base that's very strong. So you do want to have the idea, the energetic idea of your heels growing heavy towards the ground. But if you literally practice yoga for the rest of your life and your heels never touch the ground in downward dog, that does not matter. I am releasing you from that idea. If you never straighten your legs fully in downward dog ever or ever again, cool. Like, it's all about your anatomy and what feels good for your body. So there are these ideas that we're kind of told that are like the do or die yogi code. You have to have these, you have to aim for one day doing the perfect downward dog. I hope you're reading all of the air quotes and all of these things that I'm saying. You really, I know I preach about this all the time, and you're like, get to the core workout, but it's so important if you want to have longevity in your yoga. You need to do what your body wants. It needs to be comfortable for you. I have short legs and a very long torso and long arms. So for me, my downward dog is this smaller, close together triangle. I look like an upside down triangle. But when people say your downward dog should be an upside down triangle and you have these really long legs, it's not going to look like that. You know what I mean? So you need to like let go of the idea that your yoga is supposed to look a certain way, because it's not about looks, it's about what's good for your body, what's going to enable you to carry on doing yoga for the rest of your life. So that preach over worked great to give me an arm rest, I will say. I don't even know what I was saying. I was just trying to get some space in there. No. So again, making sure that the legs are nice and stable, comfortable where you need them to be. Now, it's very popular to want to hang in between your arms. Look at my beautiful downward dog. I think it's a lot more important to have your core engaged. So watch out for going too far through your arms if you do have the ability to do that. This towel is extremely slippery and it's really starting to irritate me, so that's gone. So, can't irritate me, I'm a yogi, for crying out loud. So, we've got our hands nice and planted, and we are sinking through our arms, but you want to feel like your ears are in line with your arms. You don't want to ever be like crazy through. So we've got that happening. Now we're going to check in with my rib cage and my stomach. I'm going to start to firm my stomach lightly, just so that I get that feeling. You don't need to be like squeezing here like you're trying to squeeze a tooth out. I mean, come on, people. It's not supposed to be that much work. But just lightly engaging the core, just like lightly coming into that navel to spine feeling. And then what I'm gonna do, if you watch my sort of upper abs and rib cage, I'm gonna just start to, okay, Kat, you're the one that came over near me. Like, why are you afraid of me? And then I'm gonna just start to almost zip that up. So if you see what I just did there, so my tailbone is still heading high, I'm still opening through the back body, but I just wanna take that core, that rib cage, and stitch it together here so that I'm getting that feeling of my core being engaged and having that stability, because downward dog can be such an in-between pose for moving forward into something else. You really want to be stable in your core so that you can then maybe come forward into an arm balance. You need to have your core strong. And even for lifting up a leg in your three-legged dog and then stepping the leg up in between your hands into a lunge. A lot of people will kind of get our leg about halfway and then be like, oh, and have to like lift up and place our foot. So it really takes the core to squeeze the core in and up to place that foot. If we want to get into eventually trying to float or something like that, you really need to engage your core. So it's really important in all postures to really make sure that your core is being engaged. Apologies, I just did something here. I'm not sure what it was. felt something vibrate, I don't know. I know these fancy watches that the kids are wearing nowadays, I don't know. So that's sort of my rant on it. We are, I promise, for all of you core junkies, we are gonna do a lot of core work. This is just sort of us easing into it so I can get you the idea of bringing your head, your mind to the core. Also, the core of an apple, what is it? It's, you've got your little apple ends and there's your little core. No one's visualizing only the scooped out front of the apple. The whole thing is the core, right? Just like with us, this is not our core. All of this is our core, so that includes your lower back muscles. I personally have pretty weak lower back muscles that can make it really hard for me to go, when I'm working out at the gym, if I want to lift weights or something. I love a deadlift. I have very strong legs, but I find that I can't lift as heavy as I would like to because my lower back starts to cramp and it's not as strong. So it's very important to make sure that you strengthen your whole core. It's very popular to, you know, ab challenge, which is great still do it. But just like constant crunches and sit-ups and that kind of thing, strengthening only your front body, we need to make sure that we strengthen our back body because that's really going to help us with our all-around core strength. So, finally, I promise that's the end of the rant, okay? Zip it, core only. I'm going to make you guys sweat now. I'm going to make you regret judging me for my rant. You're like, I'm not judging you, I promise, please don't. Too late. Okay, coming into your downward dog. You've been in it this whole time, right? So we're gonna come into three-legged dog here. Just stretch out our hip a little bit. So pressing into the left foot, lifting up the right and opening the hip, dropping the heel to the bum. So opening that hip, the right hip, to the side of the room, keeping both hands placed down, just starting to open that hip. You can even make a circle if you want, really drawing that heel to the bum. And then placing that back down. We're gonna do the other side. So growing heavy in the right foot, drawing up the left, twisting that hip open to the side and dropping the heel to the bum. Stretching that hip open, do your little hip circle if you want. And then coming back down, we're gonna gaze up at our thumbs and just walk our feet to the top of the mat into our forward fold. All my chunks hanging out, geez Louise. You can bend the knees heavily here to hold the upper body if you'd like. Reach for opposite elbows. Maybe sway a little bit. And then bending into the knees, we're slowly gonna rise up like a rag doll. The head is the last thing to come up. Rolling the shoulders at the top. Now we're going to move into a sequence that is always very good for the core. Sun salutations, Surya Namaskar A. So, moving through your sun salutations, obviously they're not typically done as simply a core thing. There's a lot of other elements. But while we move through these sun salutations, I really want you to focus the whole time on your core. Obviously make sure you're being safe with your alignment with everything else like you normally would, but really focus in every move. Notice your core. Are you engaged slightly? Even in Tadasana, your mountain pose, you should be engaged here. Drawing the tailbone down long, tucking the pelvis. My core is engaged right now. Probably doesn't look like it because I ate a lot of lasagna for dinner, but that's besides the point. The feeling is internal. So I'm engaging my core right now. I'm tucking. And again, when I say navel to spine, I don't mean like, try and be as skinny as you can. I just mean get that feeling, that little bit of engagement. You can tell when you have it switched on. So, nice and strong in our mountain pose. Check in with the core throughout, including the back. So we're gonna inhale, sweep our arms up overhead. Palms come to touch, noticing if your rib cage has stuck out here or if your core is engaged. Exhale, swan dive down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, strong in the back, core engaged. Exhale, fold, placing the hands on the mat, stepping back to your high plank. We can drop our knees here, or you can come through your full chaturanga. Slowly coming down, engaging the core. Let's all do a baby cobra here instead of an upward dog. So leaving the hands flat on the mat. We're gonna peel our shoulders back, using the strength of the back So if you wanted to, you could lift your hands off here. You don't need your hands for this. Using that back strength, exhaling back, pressing into our downward facing dog. Now checking in with what I just ranted about for 3 hours. What is your core doing? Are you engaged? Or are you sinking as if you're doing a cow pose in your downward dog? Engaging the core. Gazing up at the thumbs, and we're all going to bend into the knees and attempt a hop. So really engaging the core here and thinking of sending your rib cage, your upper body up over your arms. So we're gonna bend our knees, squeeze the core and hop. I like to go wide with my feet. It makes me feel a little more stable. You can try to hop them in between. And it doesn't matter if you don't make it to the top of your mat, who cares? Just try it, it's fun. And it does work the core. So now we can walk the feet back in, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, again, strong in the core. Exhale, fold. Bending the knees, using the back strength and the belly strength to pull you back up. Palms come to touch. Are your ribs sticking out? Exhale, heart center, Anjali Mudra. We're gonna do 2 more rounds. I'm gonna talk a little less, so tuning into the core for sure. Strong in your mountain pose, your Tadasana. Core is engaged. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, palms to touch. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands. Step or hop back to your high plank. You can drop the knees or do full chaturanga here, squeezing the core. Baby cobra, using the strength of the back. And exhale into your downward facing dog. Take a breath here. Notice if you're stitching up the ribs in the front. Inhale, gazing up at the thumbs, bending the knees, and attempt your little hop. Stepping the feet together for your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bending the knees and sweeping the arms up overhead, palms to touch. Exhale, heart center. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, sweeping the arms up overhead, palms to touch. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Planting the hands and stepping the feet back into your high plank. Dropping the knees or coming through chaturanga. Inhale into your baby cobra or upward dog. And exhale into your downward facing dog. Taking a breath here. Tuning in with the ribs, with the core. Inhale, gazing up at the thumbs, bending the knees and hopping to the mat. Top of the mat, sorry. Stepping the feet in. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bending the knees and sweeping the arms up overhead, palms come to touch. And exhale, hands to Anjali Mudra, heart center. I apologize, I think my cat is scratching at something over there. Taking a breath in our mountain pose, letting that settle. Great job. So we are going to move into a couple of twists, which are also really great for the core. I'm going to face you here. So we're going to move into a bit of a chair pose sequence. So you thought this was only going to be core, but we're involving our legs a little bit. So in our chair pose, it sort of depends on the stance that you like to use the most. Typically you can have your toes, feet hip width apart, and you want to come down into your knees. So you want to make sure that you're not just going like this. You want to tuck that in, as always, and try and make sure that you are sending the toes to, or the knees towards the pinky sides of the toes. You don't want your knees coming in really badly. So that could be your chair pose. Try and sink back, or you can bring big toes to touch, and then your knees will come together. Again, engaging the core, tucking the pelvis, dropping the tailbone down, and that could be your chair pose. This is a little bit more comfortable for me just with my ankle and the way that my bow legs are shaped. So see what's more comfortable for you. We also typically will inhale the arms up. I like to try and make sure that we're rotating the pinkies inwards. So this is really gonna activate the arms. So let's try and do that now. So big toes to touch or hip width apart. Find what's most comfortable for you. Arms are down in Tadasana. And we're gonna inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. And again, check in now. Are you arching your back? Tuck that in. And try and lower down. Also notice if you're like this, you really wanna try and sit up tall. Pressing into the feet, again, tucking the tailbone. I just had mine sticking out again. And coming back up. So we're gonna do that again, and we're now gonna add a twist. So, taking a breath. Y'all, it's hard when you have to talk, so excuse me if I start to lose my breath a little bit. Tadasana, mountain pose. And coming into your chair pose, bringing the hands to Anjali Mudra, heart center. We're going to start to rotate to the right or left, whichever side you feel like doing, and try and hook your elbow on the outside of your knee. So I always kind of have to wiggle around and then come back to center. So just see what works for you. I've got a bit of a gut. I'm not sorry about it, but I do. So if you, like me, have a little bit of a tummy, it might be kind of hard for you to twist around it. So just see what you can get to. Might be a little easier if you do spread the feet a little bit. So just kind of see what works the best for you. And make sure that you're not doing something that's really uncomfortable and really hurts. So we're heart center. We're twisting over, hooking onto one of our knees. And then I like to rotate myself back to center. And if I'm looking towards the right, I want to think of bringing my hips more towards the right, and that'll keep you more centered. So we're pressing into our prayer hands here and peeling our shoulders open, and now engaging the core. So not only using leverage to twist you open here, you want to have your core engaged as well. Inhaling back to center and twisting to the opposite side, hooking that elbow to knee, twisting yourself open, pressing into the palms to twist you open, and engaging the core. Coming back to center, arms come up, sink nice and deep, and coming back up. Hands to heart center. Holy moly, y'all. I haven't done a chair pose in ages. I avoid it like the plague. Oh, that lasagna, man, it hurts. Okay, we're gonna move down onto the floor now. So coming down, just sit on your bum. Oh, I'm sweating. Are you guys sweating? I just had a weird hiccup. Cat hair in my mouth. I should really probably edit all of this out, but I never actually end up editing my videos. I just think it's real life, you know? So I'm gonna grab my little squishy thing to come under my tailbone. We're gonna come into some boat pose, Navasana. I need to sit on something with my tailbone, as I said at the beginning. If you don't need to, that's fine. If you do come onto something, make sure it's not too high so you still have stability. Just trying to test and see if this is gonna be okay or if I need something thicker. That'll be all right. So sitting up nice and tall, I like to leave the feet flat on the ground first, bringing the hands underneath the knees, rolling the shoulders back, and sitting up tall. I'm at a bit of an angle, but I'm still fully supported here. You can stay here if you'd like. If you want to start leaning back and perhaps lifting one foot or the other, or maybe both, you can come into this expression of the pose. If you'd like to play with releasing your arms, you can do so. And noticing if you're starting to round in the lower back. You want to be nice and tall, feeling this in the core, engaging the belly, feeling it in your back as well. If you'd like to straighten the legs, you can do one at a time or both. I find that I start to round into my lower back when I do that. Squeezing here, you better still be in it. I'll know. And then releasing down, you can come into a cross-legged if you'd like, I apologize, I keep itching my face. I think I've got a cat hair stuck on me somewhere. If you'd like to extend the legs out long and do a forward fold, you can do that. We're gonna do 2 more. I'm sorry, I know. I'm not sorry. So we're gonna start to lean back. Again, coming into our setup. Nice and open across the chest. And then beginning to flex the feet, leaning back, lifting one foot and then the other. Beginning to engage the core all the way around, not just the belly. Maybe releasing the hands. Maybe straightening the legs. Breathing. Do not hold your breath here. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Don't come out just yet. Just stay for 1 breath more. And release down. Maybe sinking forward. Oh, letting that go. We've got 1 more, you guys. So beginning to set up again. This is your last one, so try really hard on this one, y'all. Or don't, whatever you feel like doing, really. Starting to lean back, perhaps floating the feet, maybe floating the arms, feeling that tension coming back into the core. And this time, let's try to lift our hands up. Notice what changes. Don't bring your ears up to your shoulders up to your ears. Have those still relaxed down. Hold, hold, hold. Maybe you let your hands back down. We're still holding. Try and straighten your legs, maybe. Squeeze, 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 higher, higher, higher. And let it go. You're done with that. Woo. Great job. That is a hard pose. Or maybe it was super easy and you're judging me right now. I don't care. I like snacks, whatever. We're gonna come into a side plank sequence now. So I'm gonna bring this under my elbow because my floors are very, very hard. So I always like to have my hand out. I notice that just like feels a little better for me. You can also make a fist, whatever works for you. Make sure that your elbow is aligned under your shoulder. So you are always in line. You don't want to be like this trying to come up. It's not going to work very well. Also being over it like this is very bad for the front of your shoulder. So make sure that you are lined up on bone. And we're going to start to lift up. So first, if you would like to keep your knee bent like I'm going to do, you can go ahead and do that. You can bring your other hand in front, just starting to lift up here and noticing how that feels. You can bring a hand up into the air. If you'd like to release down and bring your second foot out, let's see if I can even do it, you guys. I haven't even tried a side plank in so long. If you want for stability, you can also place your top leg in front. Let's see if I can even do it. Oh my goodness, that's hard. Holy moly, I'm gonna keep my knee down. If you wanna do a full side plank, you go right ahead, power to you. So we are up. You wanna think of pressing your hips up into the air. Arm is up, you can gaze up at your thumb, you can gaze down at the ground. Holding the side plank, squeezing the core. Maybe if you want, you can lift your foot up. Maybe you hate that, doesn't matter. Do what you want. Holding it for a little bit longer, making sure you're still breathing. And dropping down. That's fabulous. Let's roll over to the other side. So I'm gonna have my back to you, I apologize. Dropping that elbow down. Again, checking in, making sure that the elbow and the shoulder are lined up. Either bringing your knee in or coming to a full side plank. I for sure can't on this side because of my club foot. Bringing the hand in front of you and popping yourself up into your side plank. Lifting those hips high. Top arm will open. Again, you can gaze up at the top thumb or down at the ground. Lifting that hip high. Engaging in the core. Again, you can lift that top foot if you'd like. Or you can leave it down. Lifting those hips. Breathing. And releasing down. Woo. We're gonna do one more on each side. We're just gonna play with it a little bit this time. Are you intrigued? Oh, I'm sweating. Okay. Lining up, shoulder, and I keep wanting to say wrist, shoulder, and elbow. Again, coming towards your plank. And we're going to try, if it's just enough for you to be in a side plank, that's totally fine. If you would like, you can try pistol grip, which is your 2 fingers around your big toe. You can bring it out in front of you, or you can try and lift it up. You can also try and come into like a tree pose kind of thing with it on the inside of your thigh. Sorry, I forget anatomy when I'm in a side plank. Breathing here. Lifting that hip nice and high, whichever pose you're in. Lift, 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 lift. One more deep breath in. And let it out. And release. Other side. So again, elbow lined up under your shoulder. We're gonna lift up, and you can pistol grip, reach for your toes. They can come out in front, out to the side, or you can bring it in like a tree pose. Oh, it's way easier on this side. Oh my goodness, that's so weird. Breathing, I'm breathing like an elephant. You can too, it's fine. No judgment. Squeeze, 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 lift that hip high. One more deep breath in, and let it out. And release. Coming down onto the belly. Oh my word. Y'all, core, woo, holy moly. We're gonna work into the back a little bit more now. So coming into locust pose. Ooh, I see my cat creeping at me from behind the scratching post here. Let me see you. So we can start to bring our arms alongside us with the palms face up. Oh, all right. And what we want to do, I like to lead from my shoulders here. So I like to start to peel my shoulders back, lifting the arms, lifting the upper body, and now the legs and feet. Squeezing up tall, pulling yourself up high, balancing just on your belly if you can. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Try to grow a little taller, and releasing down. One ear can come to the mat. Heels falling out, toes in, letting it go. Bringing the head to the center again. Arms come back. Again, leading with the shoulders, peeling those back, lifting up into your locust pose. Lift, 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 lift. Feeling the lower back like an accordion. It's like a crunch for your back. So squeezing that. Squeeze a little bit higher. Squeeze and release. Other ear to the mat. Heels out, toes in. Letting that go. Now we're going to roll over onto our backs. Whew. So coming onto our backs, we are going to move into something super fun called eagle crunches. So the reason why this is called an eagle crunch is because we're doing eagle arms and eagle legs while we're crunching. Super fun, I promise. Bear with me on it. Okay. Wipe my sweat. Great, here we go. So we're going to bring our right elbow under our left and start to try and twist your arms. See if you can get your palms together. If not, you can just kind of come towards that idea. And we're going to bring our right knee under our left, twisting the legs to where you can get them, bending the knees. Now, we're gonna inhale here and exhale, Bring your elbows towards your knees, crunch up. Hold, hold, hold. Inhale, release down. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze elbows to knees. Holding here, squeezing together. Inhaling, releasing down. We'll do 2 more on this side. Please make sure you're breathing, everyone. Core work is so hard when you hold your breath. And I'm saying this because I was literally just holding my breath, so. Inhale, exhale, elbows to knee. Squeezing yourself into that little package. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Squeeze and release. Last one here. Inhale, exhale, squeeze, lifting your shoulders up off the floor, lifting the head, squeezing yourself together. And inhale, release. Releasing the arms out wide. You can come to cactus arms. You can windshield wiper the knees for a moment. Letting that go. We're almost done here. So now we're going to cross our left elbow under our right, twisting the arms up, trying to reach for the palms. And now left knee goes under the right, twisting the legs up. Inhaling out nice and long. And with our exhale, we're going to pull our elbows towards our knees. Squeezing. Inhale, release. Inhale, exhale, pulling elbows towards knees. Squeezing up. Squeeze, 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 and release. 2 more. We can do it, you guys. Woo! Inhale, exhale, squeezing elbows to knees. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Pulling yourself together like there's magnets in your elbows and knees. And release. 1 more. Whew. Inhale. Exhale, knees and elbows together. Squeezing the core. And releasing down. Cactus arms. You can sway the knees back and forth. Whew. Great job. Whoa. Whew. Oh my goodness. So slowly coming back to center with that. We're just going to do a couple of leg lifts here. So this works your core as well as the hip flexors. Just notice what happens with your hips. I notice when I do this that one side, my hip kind of pops. For me, it's fine. It doesn't cause any pain or anything like that. It just kind of feels weird. Notice what it looks like in you. Maybe you have a hip pop or something like that, and maybe it hurts. If it hurts, don't do it. You don't have to do this at all. Maybe it'll be better if you bend your knees. Just kind of play around with it. If you don't notice something like that, that's totally fine. Like, it's not a normal thing to have. It's not abnormal either. God, I'm just triggering everyone. So just observe what happens, because mine doesn't hurt. I just sort of have always had that. Typically a pop will be if you've had a tendon go out of place or pull before, and now it's kind of just forever going to kind of make a weird motion when you do a certain motion with your hip flexor. But it also could be something that is painful for you and is not good. So just check in with your body at all times, as always. If you'd like, you can leave your arms down flat. I like to bring my hands under my tailbone just to give me a little bit of extra support in my tailbone. And then we're going to extend our legs out long. Notice already if your upper back is really coming off, or your lower back, sorry, is really arching off the ground. Try and keep that long and flat on the ground the whole time. So we want our legs out straight, not quite on the ground though. And we're just going to lift them up. So Sorry, I'm just trying to not mess with my watch while I do that as well. It's such a hard life in just my first world problems that I'm having. So then we're gonna extend them back down and lift them back up. If you'd like, you can do a little hip lift at the top, but make sure that you're not using your momentum to do it. You wanna kind of move slowly, have your feet up, and then do it. So just using your lower abs to kind of pull your feet up, just give them a little pop. That really helps with the lower abs as well. So extending the feet down, not on the ground, and up. Maybe you do a little pop. Making sure you're breathing. Just kind of flowing here with your own breath, your own pace. And noticing when you do start to really feel it. The first couple, you're like, this isn't doing anything, she's crazy. But then you do start to really feel it in your hip flexors and your lower core. So just notice when that starts to happen. And really send your breath there. Breathe your tummy out. Let it expand instead of just holding the tension in there. Just gonna do a couple more, so sticking with it if you can. I really notice it in my hip flexors. We're gonna do 3 more. I know I said a couple, whatever. 2. The last one here. Oh, you're releasing that down. And you can windshield wiper the legs. It helps to release the lower back. Now before we come into our full twist, because as you know I love to end on a twist, we're going to do a couple of twist lifts. So this is going to work your obliques, your little side abs, as well as just your general core. And try and see if you can do it. You might kind of topple over at the end, but get as far as you can just using your core strength. So we're going to bring our knees up as if we were going to do a twist, and then start to drop the knees, keeping the shoulders flat on the ground. Begin to drop the knees. Don't let them fall. Try and hold on. Maybe touch them to the ground, maybe you can't quite reach, keeping the shoulders flat, and then using the core to pull them back up. You want to pull them up slowly, don't use your momentum. And then we're dropping to the other side, nice and slow, keeping those shoulders grounded. Come to wherever you can, and then slowly coming back up through center. So just doing a few more of these. See, I'm getting smart, I used few that time. You have no idea how much that means. If you'd like, you can also do this with your legs straight and see how much that changes it. I find that so much harder. Just see what you can do. Maybe you don't have the space like me. That's my excuse. I don't have the space, you guys. I do it, I just can't. And just, again, making sure that you notice what your lower back is doing. We're going to do 1 more to each side. Last one. And I'm going to sort of replace myself here. And then again, stretching those arms out, bringing the knees up. Beginning to drop them to one side, but this time we're going to come into our full twist. Again, making sure that you're keeping the shoulders flat on the ground, but releasing that down. And now you can look over at the hand opposite your knees, or you can look towards the knees. You can have your arms in cactus arms as well if that feels good. And you can straighten your legs again in the twist as well. Whatever feels best for you, wringing out the spine. Bring the knees back up to center and dropping them over to the other side. I have to sneeze, so just be aware. Sorry. Hopefully That didn't scare anyone. Good thing it wasn't in Shavasana. Just twisting that up. Bringing the knees back to center. We're now going to do a bit of a heart opener here. So this is going to be propped. If you have blocks available, you can use 2 blocks. If you have some heavy books, you can use those as well. Or if you just even have a blanket, you can roll it up like a long piece. We just want something that's going to rotate our chest open. So it doesn't have to be a lot. It can literally be, you can line up like 2 pillows from your couch. I like 2 blocks, but if you obviously don't have those available, that's fine. Roll up a blanket, roll up a towel, anything like that. Even if you have your water bottle, obviously if it's really hard, you want to place a blanket over it. But just anything that's going to give you that little bit of elevation in the center of the chest, just to peel the shoulders open. And it'll kind of release the belly as well from all of that core work that we just did. So coming down, this is your supported fish pose. Coming down onto your prop, your blanket, your towel. I like to let my knees fall open, almost like butterfly. You can also keep your knees up and falling in towards each other if that's better for your lower back. You can extend the legs out long. Doing what feels best for you. Letting the heart open. We've done a lot of postures today that are really containing all of the energy in our core, leaning forward, keeping it all held right in the center here, and we kind of want to release that energy out now. I like to support my head in fish pose because I can sometimes get a bit of a swimmer's nose, but if you would like, whether you're on a towel, blanket, block, you can also let your head drop back and get that full throat extension. I'm hitting my wall here and it's really annoying me. Just noticing what feels the best for you. Like I said, I get that swimmer's nose a little, so I like to keep my head elevated. Just relaxing here. Letting that energy release from the heart, from the core. If you're really craving a deeper release, stretch for the front of the body. And it's in your practice, you can always slowly, carefully come into a full wheel. Or you can roll over onto your belly, come into an upward dog, a seal pose. Just if you really, really want that deep, deep stretch in the front body. I don't mind something nice and gentle like this. You can even just come into your full fish pose without the support, if that's in your practice. Craving any other movement, you can also begin to slowly remove your props and just let out any last little wiggles, get out any last little movement that you'd like to before we come into our Shavasana. So you can come into shoulder stand if that's something that's in your practice. Do a happy baby. I love a happy baby before Shavasana, that last little hip opening. I like to straighten one leg and then the other. Maybe rocking side to side a little bit. And then just slowly coming to stillness on your mat. Releasing the legs out long, letting the toes fall open, tucking the shoulder blades under so that the chest is still nice and open. If this is hard on your lower back, you can always bring the knees up, having them falling in towards each other with the feet out wide. You can always take Shavasana laying on your front. or in the fetal position. Palms are faced up. I'm just beginning to come into stillness. Just releasing down. Feeling the body melting into the floor. Just quickly scanning through the body again. And just observing the body. Maybe you notice that you feel a lot more tension in the core now. Some sensation, maybe some tingling. Noticing any differences in the mind and the body from when we first began the practice today. Perhaps you feel a lot lighter. Maybe you feel more grounded. Perhaps you had a lot of racing thoughts at the beginning and now you feel a little bit more calm. Or maybe you don't. No judgment, just observing where you're at. Mind, body. Feeling your stress seeping out, clear. Allowing the earth to alleviate that for you. Just returning to the beginning of the class, the card that we pulled. Justice. Knowing that cause and effect, what you put out, you get back. So, taking a moment here to think about one thing that you are truly, deeply grateful for. And it could be anything, it doesn't have to be something deep and meaningful. It could be your morning cup of coffee. It could be your job, your health, your best friend, your parents, your sister, your brother, your significant other, your children, pets. Breeze outside, the rain, anything that you feel very grateful for in this moment. And focusing on that thing or that person, and just letting that happiness, that joy and excitement fill up your body. And that place in the center of your heart where you feel that true joy at this thing that you're grateful for. Visualizing it spreading throughout, just like a brilliant light. Feeling it spreading from the center of the heart into the belly. Maybe you get butterflies thinking about this thing. Down through the back, the pelvis. Shining up through your chest, starting to come down into the arms. Maybe you feel tingles in your fingers, shining through your legs, into your toes, the very tips of the toes. This joy, this gratitude, into your throat and your neck. Filling up your head, feeling the whole body tingling with this energy, this excitement and joy, this deep gratitude. Whether it's a million things and it's hard for you to find one thing that you're grateful for to pinpoint, or perhaps you're having a time where it's a struggle for you to find one thing. Always trying to find that one thing and letting it fill you up. Knowing that you have this in your life. And just sending out a thank you whether you believe in a higher power or the universe, nature, luck, whatever it might be that brought you this thing, that made this available to you. Perhaps you think it was just yourself, your hard work, your endeavors. So I'm going to thank you to wherever you'd like to place that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for bringing this to me. Now, tuning back in with your breath as you lay here in your Shavasana, letting the body fall into the ground. Stay nice and relaxed on your back. Coming into that silence. Noticing when your mind wanders and just bringing it back to the breath, bringing it back to the body. Shall I say, would it be a sin if I can't help falling in love with you? For I can't help falling in love with you. arms up overhead for a full body stretch. And when you're ready, just lifting up the knees, placing the feet flat on the ground, and rolling over to the right side or the left side if you have low blood pressure, into the fetal position. Using that bottom arm as a pillow, and resting here for a few breaths. And when you're ready, just using the hands to help you up, coming into a comfortable seated position, perhaps cross-legged. To Anjali Mudra, heart center, where you can place the palms flat on the chest, feeling the heart. Taking a gentle bow of the head, taking a moment to feel gratitude for yourself, for coming to your mat, for taking time out of your day just for you, showing your body and your mind that you are important and you are worthy of care. Feeling gratitude for the body for moving you today. And for the mind, it's always keeping you on your toes, helping with your difficult situations. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this practice. If you did, please give this video a like, maybe comment below and let me know what you really liked, what burned a lot, if you have any suggestions for other core moves that you really love to do. Maybe you have a request for the next video. Subscribe as always if you haven't already. And you can also find me on Instagram at Harmonious Hippy and engage with me on there. I always love to hear from you guys. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful day, and I'm so grateful for all of you. Even if it's just one of you that comes and watches these videos weekly, it's enough for me. I'm so happy to have you here. Have a great day. Namaste.